I used to be a big fan of Zoxide, which is just a replacement for CD. It's like kind of more powerful. But then I realized it's more useless than a blind nun on your team in Call of Duty Battle Royale. When you have a better workflow like the Primogen's tmux Sessionizer, it's just kind of useless. Or if you're good at bash scripting, there are just better ways to do that. I'll show you what I mean. You could jump around directories with leader keys and tmux. So the big one is to be able to search directories. So leader F, and then I can search through and jump to any directory I want. But there are also like hotkeys to quickly jump directories. So I can do leader capital D and then jump to my config, or leader H to jump to home, or leader P to jump to my projects, or leader N to jump to my notes, which I don't really take anymore, but you know, it's symbolically there. I've also extended this a little bit. I have leader O for opening like PDFs. So I can open this zip cert that I have legally. Or for instance, I have a hotkey to open up like Git. So I can do this for lazy Git, capital G, or I can actually lowercase g and it'll open up the GitHub repository, which is a pretty nice little shortcut. So you don't have to like git remote, get origin or whatever, or manually type it in. God forbid you waste like 5 seconds of your valuable day. Some people will say like, okay, but Zoxide is still useful, right, for navigating around. And not really, honestly. Like the one time, like I never really even need it at all. It's not that big of a pain to type a long CD command because it's like such an infrequent thing. But even if I were to do that, like say I wanted something in downloads, I can just open up downloads, and then I have leader capital L to just switch between the last 2 sessions. So, and then I could just use a long like move command to get between them. It's really not that big of a deal. And Zoxide is like, you got to download or compile it. It's like a whole nother thing. And it's so much less native. If you want to see how I'm doing this, it's actually a really simple little bash script actually. The Primogen covers this more fully, but let's see, tmux Sessionizer. Basically what it does, right, is it uses find, which is built in, and then you pass in like a bunch of different places you want. So I've got my home, my projects, notes, documents, you saw it, textbooks, and then we clamp the min and max depth so that we don't get like a ton of random files, and then just get all the directories. And then we just pipe that into sed and append home to it. And that way we can correctly CD to it. Then we pass it to SK, which is like, I guess just as rusty as Zoxide. It's like a little replacement for FCF, I think. Man, SK, fuzzy finder. Yeah, so it's basically just like a little picker thing. So if I were to pipe ls into SK, it just lets you kind of choose things and then it'll output it. So we're just piping all those directories found in the selected places into SK, and then this margin 10 and color black white is just so I get this kind of nice little centered look. You can change other style things, but those are like a couple simple ones that make it look better. And then all we do is get this selected. Oh, sorry, this set actually is removing home. And then we're putting it back. That's so like there's not huge paths every time, you know, it's not like user / sylvanfranklin / blah, 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 because that would be annoying for longer paths. And then there's just some tmux nonsense down here, but all it does is basically takes that selected path and just like creates a new tmux session if it doesn't exist, and if it does, it just switches you to it. And then same thing for like the other, like the open PDF. I'm basically doing exactly the same thing, except instead all I'm doing is taking the selected name, putting it into Zathura, and then that's it. So Zoxide, yeah, it's, for me, it's just not useful at all anymore. I kind of feel like the people I see using Zathura, or not Zathura, sorry, Zoxide, Zathura is way better, are people who have like multi-window workflows, and they're just like, oh, I gotta get back to my project, you know, I don't even have it aliased anymore. Maybe I do in Fish. Z downloads or whatever. Or that's a bad example, but say they're going to a project, right? And then they're like, oh no, like I want to be developing in Vim, but I also want like my development server. Open up another one, gotta go back to Fish. SRHD again, and now I can cargo run, you know? And that's like so much less efficient than pulling up SRHD like this. And I actually have tabs open already, but if I want like a new process, so I'm running Vim in this one, I can just leader C, create a new one, and then I can do the cargo run here, you know? And all my new tabs tabs, like whenever I create a new one or whenever I create a split like this, it's gonna open in the same directory. So I'm not like repeatedly using Z to get around everything. Like I see people like claiming Z supremacy. They're like, oh, it's saving me so much CD time. And then they like open 10 new windows and run the same command a bunch of times. It's just like, just use the tmux Sessionizer workflow. I'm sure there's other workflows like this. It's just like so much more supreme. So much, it makes Zoxide look feeble in comparison. That's all I can say. It's kind of like that Future, you know Future the rapper? It's kind of like he once said, why is your sprite so pink? I got promethazine all up in it. No, it's actually not like that, never mind.